As of today, the year of 2019, the current events in politics bring a lot of attention to the border wall between Mexico and the United States. However, it is very challenging to find ranchers who are willing to talk about the issues or challenges that they are facing on their ranch because of the border.
You want to know what it's like for me to be ranching on the U.S.-Mexico border. I would say that it's just like ranching anyplace else, only different. I am a food producer. I raise cattle and sheep on a 25,000 acre ranch located in the north end of the Mule Mountains in Cochise County, Arizona, approximately 18 miles from the border with Mexico.
In 2013, Sheriff Daniels started the Ranch Patrol Unit, and the main focus of the Ranch Patrol Unit was to be a liaison unit between the ranching or agricultural community of Cochise County and the Sheriff's Department. It's kind of morphed into a multi-sided position. We still have the root of our position as the liaison unit, but we also investigate any livestock or agricultural related crimes, and we spend the majority of our time working with the SABRE unit, which is our border unit within the county, working on drug smuggling and illegal alien smuggling.
We'll spend quite a bit of time working with the ranchers on the problems that are specific to them, but a lot of that includes Border Patrol in finding the solution to the problems that they're having.
It's not that the migrants themselves say, hey, I think I'm going to cross ranch property. A smuggling organization that thinks they may have greater success crossing in areas outside of a city or a town to try and evade that detection and get away from us. And because of the proximity to the border that a lot of these ranches are, and looking at the percentage of land or the number of ranches along the border, it coincides that they go across these ranches. In Douglas, we have ranch patrol that would work mostly on ranches. Here I have horse patrol. I don't have a ranch patrol specific team, but I have teams that work in the mountains. I have a quick response team, and then I have horse patrol teams that work very closely with our ranchers.
I deal with Border Patrol all the time. And as far as the state of Sonora, I get together with some of the mayors, both the mayor of Naco, the mayor of Cananea, and some of the other cities occasionally to discuss commerce, tourism, things along those lines, as well as mutual problems that do arise on the border. Sheriff Daniels is the primary jurisdiction along the border because most of it's in the county. None of the borders in the city of Bisbee. It's all south of Bisbee, but we're so close that they count us as a border town.
Almost every place we have to go that's north of here, we have to pass through a United States Border Patrol checkpoint. Even though we've never left the United States, never crossed the border, etc., we're asked questions like, is everyone a U.S. citizen? Are there only two of you in the vehicle? Things like that. Mostly, they just look at us and wave and smile and say, have a nice day.
The biggest challenge is kind of their remnants, so to speak.
We lost cattle who ate trash bags, ate jackets and sweatshirts and pants that were left behind, and I'm assuming the cattle were attracted to them because of the salt content. But we would find perfectly healthy 3, 4, 5-year-old cows bloated up and dead. If we cut their stomachs open, we would find plastic bags and plastic trash and clothing all wrapped up in their gut, and they were just impacted and their gut shut down. They died. We lost quite a few cattle that way.
There's a huge economic impact on the ranchers within 100 miles of the border due to the migration. The fences, the water lines, everything else. Death caused by cows ingesting all the trash.
We also had a lot of issues with people messing with the water system. We don't have much surface water on this ranch, very limited, so we're dependent on well water and some constructed ponds we call dirt tanks, which are water catchment basins. And often they would disassemble the float valves to refill water bottles, or they would drill a hole in a water line that was on the surface, and that would cause a leak. Then we would realize that we're out of water and the cattle are out of water, and we'd find the leak and realize that we lost 10,000 gallons of water that might have taken a week to pump. So it was a little frustrating.
It just cost more to raise cattle on the border. So if someone who lives within 100 miles of the border is expecting to make, 30% profit from their calves that year, across the board in the U.S., well, that rancher on the border is only making 5% profit.
We have concertina wire along the border, the port of entry, and going out a couple miles on either side of the port. The deployment of concertina wire is just to help back up that deployment, and it's part of that impedance and denial and trying to prevent someone from crossing in these areas. And you'll notice where we've put it, it's more in an urban setting where we have seconds to minutes where we could lose somebody when they cross the border and run. They can get into houses, get mixed into some of the communities here, picked up by a vehicle. Further outside, when you get into these rural areas, then we get into hours, and you get out to remote areas and you go hours to days. That is to our advantage and gives us more time to respond and work these groups before they can go.
We did issue a resolution a little over a month ago having to do with the concertina wire that was placed on the border, letting people know that the council was against the concertina wire being placed on the border.
I don't believe that the concertina wire that they put along the fence is going to affect cattle at all.
The ranchers I've personally spoken to, they actually like seeing it and wanted to know why I couldn't get more put up. He liked it because he felt that would be a good deterrent, to prevent people from crossing through his area, through his ranch.
They, in majority, felt that it was bad for public relations, bad because Bisbee is certainly a tourist town, bad for tourism. It made it look like there were more problems on the border than there were. We have next to no crime in Bisbee as a result of the border. And by placing the wire, it made it look like this was a place where there was a lot of problems going on that had to be resolved. And so the resolution was put forward. I've discussed it with both Martha McSally's office, our senator, and Ann Kirkpatrick, our representative. I just met with Ann Kirkpatrick last week in Washington, and that was one of the topics that I discussed with her.
The intent of the concertina wire is not to get anybody caught up in it or tied up in it, nor is it to get any wildlife or livestock caught up in it. It's to prevent people from thinking this is the place to cross and make it much more difficult for these smugglers to bring people through.
They were just like anybody else, trying to get a little bit ahead in the world and provide security for their families. So the most common stereotypical memory for me is wake up in the morning. I usually get up pretty early. I go to the kitchen to make coffee. It's the crack of dawn, whether it's winter or summer. I'm up pretty much with the first light of the sunshine. And to hear a little bit of noise outside, look out the window and realize there's a group of 15, 20, 25 people waiting outside the yard, very quietly, politely, but waiting for somebody to come out of the house. I'd go out, ask them what they're doing there. They'd tell me that they need water, they don't have any water, and could they get some water from us? And every time I think about this stuff, just rips me up. I'm sorry. I can't help but, tell these stories, and it just is very emotional.
First thing that comes to my mind is carrying that little girl's skeleton out when, was that Mike called us?
Mm-hmm. Like Mike was just mentioning, we ended up carrying the skeleton of a little girl out that was 45 miles north of the border. That she'd, we don't know when she'd crossed. We don't know, with whom she'd crossed, and 45 miles north of the border, and she laid out there for a year before she was found. So, I mean, there's everything from the hardened criminals to the humanitarian crisis. We're dealing with it all.
They would say things like they were told it was a 3-hour walk to Tucson from the border. And, it's a 2-hour drive in a car. It would be 30-hour walk to Tucson or more if you were in good shape and if you could walk in the daytime. These people were just pathetic. I mean, they had no food, no water. Their children are crying. They're all cut up from walking through the mesquite and the brush. And they just want to get back with their families.
My perception is when I talk to people in Washington, they don't understand what the issues are on the border. They believe they're far worse than they are. They believe that from what they hear that people are coming across the border with guns and that we have to worry about our safety.
We really do need to look at our laws. They're outdated. When they came into existence, they were probably appropriate and right for that time. But the world has changed, so I think we need to look back at our laws and change them appropriately to keep up with the changing times, to help reinforce what we do along the border. There needs to be the investment in our technology, our infrastructure, and our manpower.
Our senators and our representatives are the same way. We have some senators in certain parts of the country that want to bring other senators and representatives here to show them how bad the problem is. And they don't even understand that it's not that bad.
You have to have enough people on the border acting as law enforcement or border security or whatever you want to title it as to keep people from crossing the border illegally. You can put up whatever barrier you want, but if no one's there to watch it and time permits, people climb over it, tunnel under it, dig through it. You have to have people there to watch the border and stop intruders.
There needs to be an investment in how we target these criminal organizations. Yes, there's people coming across illegally, and a lot of them come across for economic needs, but they're exploited also.
I just think it's important that people understand that Mexico is very, very important to the United States. It's a huge trade partner. But it's not just a trade partner. Where we are right now, and the majority of Arizona was Mexico. Not too long ago. And so we have a common culture, a lot of things that we can do together that a wall or a perception of individualism takes away from, that we're much stronger working together than we are apart.